Hi, everyone. Welcome to MiniScroll, the daily internet culture podcast bringing you the biggest stories from social media, the creator economy, and the digital space every Monday through Thursday. I'm your host, Lauren Meisner, the founder of the youth digital media brand Centennial World. All right, welcome to MiniScroll, the last MiniScroll of the week. I have a very niche, I don't even know what other word to use, deep dive for you guys tomorrow for Infinite Scroll. So definitely get excited for that. I don't know. I'm interested to see how you guys respond. Okay, so today's mini scroll, I just wanted to touch on one big story. It's a bit more Met Gala news, but I wanted to give this story a proper breakdown because in the past, we have analyzed the Met Gala from a pretty critical perspective. You know, we obviously look at the fashion and the makeup choices, but also the theme and what that theme represents. And this year, I feel like I took a very surface level approach. Like I really just analyzed the fashion, like shared my opinions on it. I shared what the theme was, but not really what it represents at a, bigger level. I feel like there is so much more to be analyzed, particularly when it comes to the theme in relation to what's going on in the world with cost of living, the genocide going on, like all of the shit that we are experiencing right now. There's a lot to be said for the theme and how some celebrities and influencers executed it. So I think that deserves some airtime. And the story that I'll be sharing today is a really good jumping off point for that. So the story that I have for you guys today is that TikToker HaleyyBaylee is facing backlash for her Marie Antoinette-inspired Met Gala video. So creator Haley Khalil, who goes by HaleyyBaylee on TikTok, is facing criticism for posting a very out-of-touch video from the Met Gala. This was Haley's first Met Gala, and she wore a gown and a headdress by Mark Bauer. Prior to the event, Haley posted a TikTok to her 10 million followers where she lip-synced to a sound from Sofia Coppola's Marie Antoinette, where the queen says her iconic quote, "Let them eat cake." So before I keep going, I know that it is highly debated if Marie Antoinette actually said this quote. I know people say that there's no historical evidence that she ever said, "Let them eat cake." So please leave that aside. That's really not the point. It's more about like what this video and that quote and her outfit all together represents. Getting in the details of if Marie Antoinette actually said that quote is missing literally the entire point of why people are upset about this. Okay, so her video has over 17 million views, and the majority of viewers are calling it, quote, dystopian, comparing it to something out of the Hunger Games and saying it is just too on the nose given the current political and socioeconomic climates. For anyone who is unaware, Marie Antoinette was the last queen of France before the French Revolution. According to the Royal Museum's Greenwich, quote, in the late 18th century, France was on the brink of bankruptcy due to its involvement in the American Revolution and King Louis's extravagant spending. This led to a people's revolt against the inequalities of French society, the corruption of royal officials, and despair owing to widespread economic hardship. And during the French Revolution, Marie Antoinette became known as Madame Deficit because the country's financial crisis was blamed on her lavish spending. She was also opposed to social and financial reforms that would benefit the lower and middle classes, and she had a, quote, ambiguous attitude about the French Revolution. All of this accelerated her demise, which, as many of us know, ended in her being executed in 1793. From worldhistory.org, quote, with her death, France was free of its Austrian she-wolf, of the so-called Madame Deficit who had bankrupted the nation both morally and financially. What it got in return was 10 months of blood, for Marie Antoinette was one of the first high-profile victims of the Reign of Terror. So the point is, Marie Antoinette was not just some fun-loving French socialite, this like glamorous figure that I think sometimes she's portrayed as in the media. And though I'm sure you can't blame the entire French Revolution on her, maybe you can, I don't know, I'm not a historian. I don't know if all of, the stuff out there about her and how she contributed to that, if that's all fact, or if a lot of that is, maybe seeped in misogyny or whatever. Like, I don't know, okay? That's not really the point. Marie Antoinette as a historical figure represents the 1% who were exploiting the lower and middle classes and destroying the economy so that they could have more, and basically didn't give a shit if, these people lived or died. And that is like a direct reflection in our current time of the 1%, right? Like so much of what happened leading up to the French Revolution we can see mirrored back to what's happening in our current existence. So for an influencer who is probably making more money than the vast majority of the world, who probably doesn't need to worry about if she can afford groceries next week or her rent next month, like so many people are struggling with right now, for her to post a quirky Marie Antoinette-inspired video at the Met Gala, an event that costs $75,000 a ticket, more than most people's annual salary. It is literally just an event for the 1%. In this economic environment, it feels like she is just spitting in our faces. And I know it was just like a dumb, quick little video. I don't actually believe she did this out of malice. I don't think she thought very much about it, but that's why people are pissed. It's not because they thought she had necessarily like bad intentions with it. It just felt too on the nose, really disgusting. And then she responded, which I will get to in a little bit, and people are not happy with how she's responded. So the other element of what makes this video feel really icky for people is when you consider the theme of this year's Met Gala, the Garden of Time. So I did touch on the theme in Tuesday's episode, but I didn't really talk about like what it really represents. I more so touched on the story that it was based on. So the theme was based on this story about a wealthy couple who created their own utopia. They lived in a villa protected behind a wall, but one day on the horizon, they saw this massive army of rebel that was slowly approaching them. The couple could pick flowers in their garden that would basically like turn back the hands of time. And so instead of taking any action and doing anything about the rebel pushing towards them, they just started picking flowers in their garden to turn back the hands of time. And eventually, obviously, their time ran out and the rebel was upon them and the story ends. So the irony here is that the story, The Garden of Time, is so representative of Marie Antoinette's story, right? It's a story about wealthy people who are out of touch, living in their own bubble, and who are basically unaware that their time is running out. So the Met choosing this theme for this year, given everything going on in the world, it feels like a huge fuck you to all of us. And watching these huge celebrities and influencers who are the 1%ers parade around in floral gowns at their $75,000 a ticket event where they had to walk past Palestine protesters to enter, it's either that these people don't understand the irony of the theme, or it's that they literally don't care and they're doing it as like a slap in the face to us and basically saying like, we don't care about what's going on in the world. We just care about our status, our wealth, and having more and maintaining our lavish lifestyles. That's why people are upset about this particular video, but also about the Met Gala this year in general. So Haley responded in the comments, as I said. She wrote, quote, "Just wanted to clarify that this sound was used because my dress was Marie Antoinette themed. That is the only reason. I would never use this sound for any other meaning. That's heartbreaking." So I do believe that she didn't think very much about this video and that it wasn't done out of malice, like I previously said, but that's literally the point. Going to the Met Gala dressed in a Marie Antoinette themed dress, like that's the problem. That's the point. That's what people are trying to like lead her to is, do you not see the irony in this? Do you not see how this is so icky? Do you not realize what you've done here? Like that's the actual problem. So she actually hasn't removed the video, and I don't think she will at this point. She posts a lot, and it's already pretty far down her feed, even though it's only a couple days old. But I think that this is a good example of the fact that, a lot of people like to say we make the wrong people famous. I don't know if this is an example of making the wrong people famous. I think this is an example of famous people, not wanting to see how they are part of the problem. I don't know if it's that a lot of celebrities and influencers aren't smart or if it's that they just want to have blinders on, because a lot of times if you think about who becomes, famous, it's typically like creatives, like those are the people that we platform with this type of fame, who we see platformed at the Met Gala. And a lot of times creative people are sometimes the biggest critical thinkers. They sometimes are the people that are trying to push for change. But then when you get to a certain level, you become part of the problem when you get that much money, and you probably don't want to accept that. So that's what I think starts to happen here a little bit. I'm not talking about like the billionaires, like the Jeff Bezos or even the Kardashians. I don't necessarily consider them creatives. I would consider them more like businesswomen. I don't think that they start off with a critical eye about the world around them, but I do think a lot of celebrities do because they are creatives. I think this is a good example of the fact that too much money and fame, at some point everyone has a price. I think the allure of a glamorous lifestyle, money, success, fame, that becomes much more important to a lot of people. And I'm not saying that it wouldn't happen to me. Probably fucking would. I don't know. But that becomes more important to people than, their morals, their values, their ethics, and looking at things with a critical eye. Nobody wants to believe that they are contributing to massive problems like we are currently experiencing around the world. So it's probably easier to be in denial and to just go about your life. And this is also not me criticizing people who enjoy the Met Gala. I literally did a whole episode breaking down my favorite looks, my least favorite looks, whatever. Like, it's totally fine to enjoy these moments in pop culture and look at them through this entertainment lens. And that's kind of what we did initially. But I just thought with the uproar of what's going on right now with Haley's TikTok and just more conversation about how kind of icky the Met felt, I felt like it was important to really explain why people feel that way. But if I got invited to the Met Gala, I'm sure I would fucking go. Actually, no, I would definitely go. So this is not a criticism either of anybody attending the Met Gala. Most of those people are not paying $75,000 a ticket personally. They're getting invited by brands or whoever. And so, yes, I would go to the Met Gala if I was invited for sure. I'm not trying to yuck anyone's yums by any means, but I think it's important to look at why people are reacting the way they're reacting. And that's why. It's not that people are trying to take fun away from Haley or anyone who has enjoyed talking about the fashion or consuming the content around the Met. It's not that at all. But all of these conversations deserve, a critical eye, a critical lens. I hope that I explained that well. Thank you guys so much for listening to MiniScroll. Please remember to rate, review, and subscribe. It helps me so much. I love you guys. I will have a deep dive for you tomorrow. Again, it's a bit unhinged. It's also in the old studio, so if you hate this green wall, I know some of you do, I'm going to try and figure out a solution to it. I don't totally hate it. I think it's kind of grungy and fun, but whatever. I get it. And it kind of messes with the lighting in this room. So how it bounces back off the camera. So tomorrow's episode will be more aesthetically pleasing to watch on YouTube. And then I'm hoping this weekend I'm able to get some type of solution for this wall. Okay. Bye, guys.